So you want to talk about Krakens today?
No, why do you ask?
Ted, dude, you got a freaking squid on your head.
At least it is not a chicken. I'd lose 2 levels.
Oh god, a Munchkin reference?
Anyway, I'm playing a Locathah Warlock, Lurker of the Deep, and this is what all the cultists are wearing.
Right. Well, let's just talk about D&D races. What character class should you play for the Turtle and Locathah? Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and today I'm joined by this squid.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Maybe it's your first time visiting Squid Ted's basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
All right. You're looking absolutely ridiculous, and we're about to talk about what character class should you play for Turtles and Locathah. You look fabulous, by the way, and ridiculous. But first, we should give a shout out to our sponsor, 1985 Games, and we've got a lot of cool stuff going on with this. One, we're going to be doing a contest, so you're going to want to go down to the description to check out that Gleam contest for
Dungeon Craft. So if you happen to like dungeon tiles for, your terrain and awesome, setting pieces, you can check out this over 1,000+ map pieces. These things are all double-sided. They're wet and dry erase capable. So you get to cut it out. Like, here's your roof, but there's the inside so that, when the players go inside the building, you just flip the tile over and it's all laid out. You have got so many things. There's monsters, there's terrain, there's rooms. There is all kinds of set dressings and fun pieces that are in this. I got in a preview copy before it was on Kickstarter, and I've already begun using it for a number of my sessions. I find them highly usable. I'm even finding different ways to, expand what's there. This version happens to be wet and dry erase, so you've got the ability to, put conditions and all kinds of things, right there on it. It's just fantastic. I can't say enough about it, but right now, they've got a promo code from November 25th to January 1st. You can use that promo code to get access to either this book, their expansion, Come Hell or High Water, and be able to get a cool 1985 pin that looks like a combination of their logo with a mimic. It looks awesome. I want one of my own personally. So whether you want to go visit the high seas, whether you want to go to the hells, you have got all these awesome new over 1,000 pieces to add to the collection with that expansion.
And as we said, we're going to do a Gleam contest. In the description, you'll find that you will have the ability to win this copy of Dungeon Craft. So whether you win or not, you're probably going to want to pick up that Hell or High Water expansion pack in the description. Now let's jump into our video. Let's talk about the Locathah and Turtles.
All right, so which one do you want to start off with first? Both are pretty cool. Both are very aquatic. Both, would look awesome in the squid hat.
That is true. I actually want to see the turtle in the squid hat now. We'll start with the Locathah. You can get the Locathah from the DM's Guild Locathah Rising Adventure. That's the only place it's at. It's also over on D&D Beyond if you have access to that product over there. This was done for charity, so it's also for a good cause, which is cool. The Locathah are going to get a bonus to both strength and dexterity, +2 strength, +1 dexterity.
They get a natural armor bonus, not as good as the turtle. They get a 12, but they also get to add their dexterity to it.
And a shield if you have one.
And a shield. They're also observant and athletic, which means they're going to get 2 skill proficiencies. They get athletics and they get perception.
So they have Leviathan Will, which gives them advantage on saving throws against charmed, frightened, paralyzed, sleep, poison, stun, a bunch of things.
That is quite a lot. Those things come up. I would imagine that ability is going to come up at least once a session. So highly recommend, that one. Sadly, they do have a detriment. They have limited amphibiousness. They can breathe air and water, but they begin to drown if they're not submerged for 4 hours a day.
They have both a swim and walking speed of 30 feet.
That's going to come up, a lot if you're playing a very amphibious kind of game, because once you get into water, if you don't have a swim speed, that's disadvantage on a lot of different attack rolls.
It is. And for languages, they're going to get Aquan and Common.
So that they get the ability to speak, read, and write, both of those. Pretty cool. So I guess, now's the time that we dive into, what are their favorite classes.
All right. So the expected character classes are going to be really simple. They're very physical. So anything martial is going to be good for them. You're talking about your fighter, your ranger, your rogue, your barbarian. All of those would work really easily.
So, they're kind of like the bugbear with their stats. I would imagine that, they would be very useful for any kind of aquatic or like coastal kind of adventure. That submersion of the deficit, for lack of a better word, that could be harsh. Really need to get themselves a scuba set because they need to keep themselves in that water. But I guess we could look at what is their unexpecteds.
So anything that's kind of aquatic, coastal, storm themed, I think works really well for these folks. And that's going to be your cleric for Tempest. It's going to be your Circle of the Land Druid coastal, and then also your storm sorcerers.
Now, the Circle of the Land coastal, like they get some of the abilities that the Locathah already has. So there is going to be some overlap there, but thematically it does work.
Absolutely. So next, let's move on to our Tortles.
All right, so these guys are beefy, they're strong, but because they're slow and contemplative, they're very wise. So it's a +2 to strength and a +1 to wisdom.
They're also going to be able to hold their breath for up to an hour, and they get claws. It's only a D4 plus strength, but you know what? They're never unarmed.
They're never unarmed. As I mentioned earlier, they do have, their own natural armor, which is set at a 17. It doesn't stack with, any other armors or dexterity, but a 17 is still pretty nice.
And you can use a shield with that as well.
And that shell also then functions that they can use an action to go inside their shell. It gives them a further +4 to their armor class. That's a staggering 21. But while inside, they have disadvantage on any dexterity saving throws, and the only action that they can take is use a bonus action to come back out.
But that's not all. They have survival instincts, which gives them proficiency in the survival skill.
So just like our Locathah, the Tortles have Aquan and Common as languages, so they can speak, read, and write it.
So next up, we have our expected character classes. All right, so with their spread and their high AC, the Tortle is actually good at doing a lot of things. They're going to be good at being barbarians, clerics, fighters, rangers.
They're also going to be good at druids and monks. With that high natural armor class, you can go with a strength-based monk and not have to worry about your dexterity. That armor class is, really ridiculous, really useful. Yes, with a monk, it's going to overlap with them having their claws, but you can choose to do, slashing or bludgeoning damage for those first early levels.
Now, usually, strength-based monks are really hard to pull off. The Tortle does it really easy with that 17 natural armor class. That's the equivalent of them having an 18 and a 16 in dex and wisdom. So they don't need to have that high dexterity the way most monks do. They can just rely on their shell. So that works out really well. So with that, let's jump into our unexpected.
For this, we would say like anything that is like an arcane caster, because you've got that high armor class to start with, you don't have to worry about your armor efficiencies. So your warlock, your wizard, your sorcerer, you are starting off with a stronger, defense than, anything that any of those low level spells are going to be able to offer.
Even to a certain extent, Bard and Rogue work as well, because that high armor class just makes up for so much because it's so high. And, they also get a free skill. So they have other attributes to rely on. They always have a weapon. So it's like a Tortle can play almost anything.
So you're saying it's a really strong choice?
I would say it's a really strong choice. And it's very thematic if you want to be a ninja and happen to be a teenager. So with that, let us know what Tortles you're playing in your game. We got a place where we can discuss it down below. But before we head on out, let me take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy the Adventuring Party on Patreon. What can I expect over there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that's not squid related. Every month that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
We also do monthly giveaways. Our patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description. Join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party on Patreon. Until next time,
Stay nerdy.